Shalom, good evening. It's great to be here again in Toronto. Thank you, Professor Sukenik, for your kind introduction. I'm not used to it coming from the UN after 5 years to see so many ambassadors of Israel in one room. Thank you for being here tonight. It is my great honor to be here with our guest of honor, Ambassador Nikki Haley. My wife, Tali, we came especially from Israel a week before the elections to thank you all for your unconditional love and support for the people of Israel. Toda Rabba. I would like to take a moment and thank my dear friend Larry Krauss, Yishar Koach, for an amazing event, Simi Zelenik, Professor Chaim Sukenik. I have many good friends here in Toronto. You know, my wife, she's Canadian, from Montreal, but we always love to come back to Canada. Dear friends, what you are doing in the college is amazing, enabling thousands of students from many communities in Israel to study and better themselves while strengthening their Jewish roots and values. Tonight's impressive event is a real testament to your service to Israel and to the entire Jewish people. You know, I arrived to the UN after I was a Deputy Minister of Defense, a Minister of Science and Technology. And the first day I walked into the UN, I know probably most of you have seen the UN, you see all the flags, 193 flags. And the first day I walked into the UN, I looked at those flags, and I saw many flags with the cross sign, many flags with the crescent, but only one flag with the Magen David, with the Star of David. And I decided at that moment that I will walk proud and tall during the years I'm representing the Jewish people at the UN. So on the first day I called my staff, we had a very small staff, and I told them, today we're starting a new era at the UN. An era where our approach will be loud and proud. An era where we will proudly stand up for our Jewish identity and where we will never give up on the truth. I made sure that the loud and proud approach was felt on every occasion, every speech, every event. In one of the speeches in the Security Council, I took out my yarmulke and I read from the Bible. And after I finished my speech, a Muslim ambassador approached me and told me, we do not recognize Israel, but the fact you respected your religion, I respect you, and I want to sit down with you. On every event, we put our traditions on the spotlight. In one of the speeches in the General Assembly, after Ambassador Nikki Haley stood up and defended the brave decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem, I took an ancient coin from the city of David. It was a real coin. I was very careful not to lose that coin on the podium. The coin is from the Great Revolt in 67 AD. And I proudly demonstrated our ancient connections to the land of Israel. I vowed that we would never allow the UN to determine our fate. I made it clear to my colleagues in the General Assembly that Jerusalem was, Jerusalem is, Jerusalem will always be our eternal united capital. We brought dozens of ambassadors to Israel. We showed them the real face of Israel, and slowly they learned to appreciate Israel, to admire Israel, like Ambassador Haley mentioned earlier. I felt the change when I was elected chairman of the UN Legal Committee, making history by becoming the first Israeli to chair a committee since Israel joined the UN in 1949. I knew that we were moving forward when we signed the Abraham Accords. We used to have private, secret meetings with many Muslim ambassadors, but here we are celebrating 2 years for the Abraham Accords. But not everything was positive at the UN. You know, it's a tough place for Israel. I will never forget the moment when I stood alone in the Lion's Den. That's the name of my book, Larry, and you started to read it, Yishar Koach. I stood alone when President Obama decided, a few weeks before he left office, to present a shameful resolution calling our presence in Jerusalem, and I quote, a flagrant violation of international law. Unbelievable. And the resolution passed in the Security Council. But I stood proud and tall also that day because I knew that we will prevail. And look what happened. A few weeks later, Ambassador Nikki Haley arrived to the UN. Nikki Haley's appointment to the UN was a breath of fresh air. She was a light that shone bright. In the darkness of the hall of the UN, she brought with her from South Carolina a moral clarity on all issues, especially on Israel. From the first day when she called me and she told me, I want to meet with you today, I told her, Nikki, but there is protocol. You have to meet first the important countries, the member of the Security Council. She told me, I'm coming to meet with you first. She wanted to demonstrate that once again the US supported its allies. Nikki Haley's strength and moral clarity stopped the Israel bullying in its tracks. During our time together at the UN, Ambassador Haley and myself worked together on many important and deeply meaningful initiatives. One of these was the historic moving of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Another thing we did, I don't think you are aware, we led a resolution to condemn the terror entity Hamas. This was the first ever resolution at the UN to call out Hamas as a terrorist group and put a spotlight on its murderous activities. Her moral clarity stood out here too, and we succeeded in generating a plurality of votes at the UN on this important issue. Together with Nikki Haley, we raised awareness of the discrimination Israel faces from many UN organizations. We made very, very clear distinctions between the good and evil, between facts and lies, between friends and enemies. This particular event tonight supports the Tal Campus for Women, which empowers Israeli women to contribute to society while maintaining their religious values. Who could be more worthy to receive an award at this event than one of the most outstanding leaders of our generation, who continuously stands by her values, who courageously fights for her beliefs, who is not afraid to argue for the truth, and who is the strongest ally. That was a good sign. And who is the strongest ally and supporter of Israel, if not Nikki Haley. Ambassador Haley, it was my greatest honor and privilege to have worked so closely with you on so many game-changing initiatives. You are an exceptional leader, a respected colleague. You and Michael are true friends to Tali and myself. Your devotion to Israel and to the Jewish people serves as a model for us all. I am sure that at the UN, we only saw a tiny taste of what is to come in the future. I would like to welcome Ambassador Haley back to the stage to talk further about our time together at the UN, as well as the future for both of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Nikki Haley.